Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be organizing Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest, designed by Paolo Mori and published by Stonemaier Games. This is a fully sleeved and upgraded copy of the game with no lid lift that's organized to get gameplay started as soon as possible. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow. Let's get started with organizing Libertalia, the Winds of Galecrest. Let's lift the lid off here, and inside you'll see that we have the two rulebooks for the game draped on top. Our base game rulebook, as well as our Automa rulebook for the solo mode. Underneath that, we have the MidShipman tile. This is for the two-player game. And then our base game board, which is nicely slotted into this plastic tray insert here. Now, before we get too deep into the insert here, I do want to mention that the insert is extremely useful and functional. We're not going to be removing any of the components here because it does a great job in helping us organize the game and getting gameplay started as soon as possible. Let's lift off this plastic portion here and take a look at each of these individual wells. Let's start off with the player components that are in these 6 identical wells. To take out the components, simply put your finger in the central area and press against the bottommost tile and pull them all out in one stack. You'll pass this to the player that wishes to be that color, and then they're ready to go. Each player is going to get a score dial, as well as all of the character cards for that player. Now, only one player is actually going to shuffle these, so it's nice to have them in order here so that you can find them whenever they come out during the game, and you're not having to continuously look through a big stack of cards. So just make sure they're in the correct order number here. And the last thing you're going to have in here is your graveyard tile, where you put your characters throughout the game. All of the cards in the game are sleeved using Ultra Pro Matte deck protectors. I really like the way that they shuffle, they feel, and they fit the cards pretty dang perfectly. So I do recommend these. I'll leave a link in the description below for any of the things that we talk about in this video here. Now, when putting the components away, you do want to make sure that your graveyard tile here is at the bottom. It'll make it easier for actually pulling out the components, because when you put your finger in, you'll grab that large, thicker tile, and everything else will come up with it. So when we do put these away, we'll put our graveyard tile first, followed by our character cards with our score dial on top. All of those player components will be identical, so let's move on to the middle wells here. The first well on the bottom is going to hold your bag, which contains all of your different loot tokens. Now, these loot tokens you'll just simply toss in here, and then every round you'll populate the days with them. Shuffle them up, and then put them where they go appropriately. You'll just leave them in the bag, place this near the center of the table. Underneath that, we have a silica gel packet for freshness, followed by all of our different markers for reputations. You'll always use all of the reputation markers during the game, so shuffle them up and place them on the board in their appropriate spots. In this upper middle section here, we'll have a container that holds all of your Doubloon tokens. These are the upgraded ones from the Stonemaier Games website. Once again, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find some of these. Now, you simply pop the top off of this organizer, and then you'll pour them into this dish here. Then you'll put them on the different sides of the table so that they're within reach for everybody. I really like the way this works. I think the denominations are really nice with 1s and 3s and 5s. Place those on the table appropriately. And underneath the coins, you'll have all of your solo cards. These are sleeved with those same Ultra Pro sleeves, but you'll take them out when you decide to play that solo game. They'll give you a player aid for the Automa, as well as the Automa's deck of character cards. And that brings us to our last component, the loot tiles, which are stored in these top sections up here. Now, the board itself is actually pre-printed with calm and stormy sides, so you can use these if you'd like. Or you can use the loot tiles, shuffle them up, and place them so you have a variance of both the different types of effects. On this left side here, you'll have 6 of the loot tiles for the multiplayer game, but because of the size of the wells, you're actually going to have to put one of them in this right side if you don't want it to fit too snugly. It was a little bit of a hassle to shove things in here, and it felt like the sides would get a little bit damaged by pressuring them in there. So we only have 6 on that left side. So on the right side here, we'll have our remaining multiplayer loot tile, as well as one where you can create your own, and then the Automa different tiles here for the loot abilities. So they are double-sided with that stormy side, as well as the calm side, and that's for each of these loot tiles here. And that's everything in the box. The great thing about this organizer is you can leave a lot of the components, particularly if players are not playing, inside of the box itself and only pull them out when you actually need to and then hand them to that player and they're ready to go. I really like this organizer here that comes with the game, and I think that Stonemaier Games did an excellent job with it. All that being said, let's go ahead and pack it up. First, we'll put our 6 multiplayer loot tiles in this upper left section, followed by our single multiplayer loot tile, our make your own loot tile, as well as our Automa loot tiles in this upper right section. We'll then take all of our Automa cards, followed by our gold doubloons, and put them in this upper middle section. And in the bottom middle section, we'll put all of our reputation tokens, our silica gel packet, as well as all of our loot tokens. For each set of player components, you'll start with the graveyard tile on the bottom, as well as all of the character cards, and then followed by the score dial in that specific order. It makes it easier for actually pulling them out and getting that game started. We'll place our plastic insert on top like so, followed by our game board, our MidShipman tile, our Automa rulebook, as well as our base game rulebook, and that is organizing Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. How do you organize your copy of Libertalia Winds of Galecrest? Is this a reprint that you've been excited for? Are you excited for all the new changes? Do you like the new theme, the new art direction? Are all of the new mechanisms and modes welcome changes for you? We'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching. SideGame Strong.